Jumping is something you've undoubtedly done a million times before. Whether it's jumping circles in Orgrimmar, waiting for your friends to come home to entertain your unemployed ass. Scaling monstrous mountains only to get to the very top and Fusro Dar Lydius, I am sworn to carry your burdens, ass over the edge. Or you've had an actual childhood and grown up with a Nintendo product since the invention of gravity in Donkey Kong from 1981. Only that's not the invention of gravity, unlike what all the gamer boys and gamer girls would have you believe in their articles and Reddit posts online. The first time jumping would actually be put in a video game is 6 years prior to that in 1975 in an old arcade game named Steeplechase. This would be the first game to feature jumping along with split-screen multiplayer, so you could talk hella smack to your plebeian-ass friends while beating them in a horse race.
Yo, talk shit, talk shit, talk shit!
Talk shit, you're bad!
So yeah, man, all these developers really slept on this whole gravity thing for like 6 years until Nintendo finally swooped in and went like, skibbity rees Atari, let me just fan and tax this gravity thing and watch me cook. And cook they did. Wait, hold up. Looks like this is just about done here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Oh, wait, something. Wait. A whole ass video game genre. Whoa. Whoa. Platformers is a genre you either grew up with and absolutely adore because they give you this warm and fuzzy feeling of nostalgia inside, or you were neglected as a child. Your parents didn't allow you a Nintendo console in your household because they saw Italian plumbers as the devil, which, I mean, depending on the plumber. Or you're like me and somewhere in the middle and go like, eh, they're fine. Now, that's not to say only Nintendo makes platformers. While they're definitely the ones to really bring platformers to life and thus spawn an entire genre out of the art of jumping, they, as wild as Nintendo are with their copyright claims, laws, and patents, didn't actually monopolize the concept of jumping in video games. Although they probably wish they had. I mean, just last year they applied to patent the act of having your video game character react dynamically to standing on a moving vehicle. I mean, imagine having GTA 6 without this, or being unable to pull one of these on the battle bus, or having your mom and being unable to pull one of these on top of her because she's so fat she counts as a moving vehicle. My first platforming game wasn't some Nintendo game. It wasn't Donkey Kong from 1981 starring the appropriately named Jumpman until he switched careers and names and got into the plumbing business. It wasn't New Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo DS, although that would be the platforming game that I'd end up spending the most time on as a kid, together with Crash Bandicoot 2 on the PlayStation 1. And let me just, like, that game, perfect. Actual chef's kiss. Like, that shit hit hella hard. Like, if you didn't play that game, I'm sorry to say, but you also didn't have a childhood. It's not me who makes the rules, I just follow them, and that's in the constitution of video games. It just is. Honestly, one of my biggest memories of playing Crash Bandicoot 2 is watching my sister play and watching her commit acrobatic atrocities on this cute little polar bear just for 10 extra lives. And then mounting said polar bear just to take it into the next level and killing it over and over again, because either that game was really hard or we just sucked at video games. And let me tell you, I mean, it was a game made for kids, so I doubt it was that difficult. So yeah, no, my first experience with jumping in video games was from this odd little weird acid trip of a video game called Dangerous Dave. And dangerous he was. He'd wield a gun. He'd have a jetpack and the ability to jump. And I didn't jump for that one, so I'll have to edit that in. Also, the game had like no background music at all. It only had sound effects, and the sound effects is what I can only describe as the audible experience of a Florida man on a week-long acid trip. Like, listen to this. However, I have such fond memories of me and my sister, yeah, the same damn one, coming home from school, playing this video game in the attic all day long on our old ass Windows Vista having ass PC, and just playing around, jumping around, having a ton of fun all day long. Before I completely derail this video about my stories, although this is my channel and therefore it's all about me, I want to first take a look at the different types of jumping in video games, starting with the true, the tried, and the tested double jump. We've all been there. You're playing Team Fortress 2, the laptop you were given for free by your friend with a cracked monitor so bad you had to plug it into the TV to even see anything. Barely hanging on, lagging so much you have to take actual in-game timeout in order to avoid a nuclear explosion going off in your lap. And along comes a G-fueled, Adderall taking, Monster energy drinking, 75 pounds 1 rep max bench pressing, existing solely to make my life more depressing, teabagging, triple tower pillar of hats wearing, double jumping scout that double taps you in the head and makes you all F4 the game immediately. Yeah, I was a console gamer before all of this, so all I had was a cracked ass laptop, and I was a lap gamer. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was a lap gamer. What about it? But how did we get here? How did we fall so far from greatness? Well, let me tell you, it all started with that goddamned smile. Well, it actually all really started in 1985 with the game Dragon Buster. This game featured the first ever recorded double jump in history. Or is it? See, while I was researching for this here video, I came across something rather peculiar. Now, take a look at this here footage. This is the aforementioned Donkey Kong from 1981. However, did you see that? Let me just rewind it real quick. Yep, there we go. Okay, and then you see that? That is a goddamn diddly ding dong bunky dong Donkey Kong jump, aka a double jump. Double jump with me and JV. Now I did some digging, and by that I mean I scrolled through the cold hard evidence of the YouTube comments, where I saw two other people exclaiming surprise on this here double jump action. Now, a comment to one of these comments claimed it to be a thing that happens in order to prevent people from going out of bounds while jumping in Donkey Kong. So Nintendo might actually have done double jumping first? I don't know. I'm unsure. Dragon Buster, however, is the first video game to do it officially and consistently. And they really did drag on these nuts on Nintendo's face and busted all over, seeing as they were also one of the first side-scrolling games. Seeing as it came out the year before Super Mario Bros. And the normal Mario Bros. Without the Super, they weren't a side-scrolling platforming game yet. And that's on top of it also being one of the first ever action RPGs, besides maybe a few niche Japanese titles at the time. So I mean, honestly, this game had a hell of a lot going on for it for its time. Nowadays, it seems like every video game has a double jump feature. It is arguably one of the best jumping features in a video game when done right. I mean, it allows for unique opportunities for exploration, and it just lets you feel more in control of your character. You know which jump is fucking bullshit though? That's right. The bunny hop. I don't think I have ever in my entire life successfully bunny hopped in any video game ever. Maybe it's genetics. Maybe I'm just a bad gamer girl like my sister. Or maybe I'm just not a G-Fuel snorting gamer god as much as I wish I was. But bunny hopping have plagued, and yeah, you heard me right, I said plagued, the gaming sphere since the dawn of Quake. Quake was one of the first true 3D FPS games. That, together with its new NetQuake engine that allowed for fast, smooth movement unlike any other game at the market at the time, essentially meant that it was prime real estate for jittery, caffeine-consuming, Dorito dust-snorting gamer gods that really liked one thing and one thing only: to go fast. You know how you sometimes look up a tutorial online or one of those 102.5 things I wish I knew before I played with your mom and contracted sexually transmitted diseases videos, and you're like, who even figured this out? Like, what? The answer is speedrunners. The answer is always f***ing speedrunners. Because in the attempt to go as fast as you possibly can, you tend to break the game and dismantle it apart in every single way that you can think of. And the discovery, popularization, and utilization of most jumps, along with bunny hops, is no different. The god gamers of going fast, or the TGGGFs, free Gs, discovered that while going around corners, you moved a little faster than usual. How peculiar. Not only this, but they also didn't seem to drop momentum or speed while you're jumping in the air. Which means if you move your characters spastically around, head bobbing like every white guy at any party ever, you could go very fast. The developers saw the TISM unfold in front of their eyes and decided to promptly unalive any bunnies hopping around, and thus totally gutted this feature from the future game. It wasn't until a small game made by this small little studio that the bunny hop would make a comeback. What is this studio? What is this game? Half-Life by Valve. Gaben saw the TISM unfolding in front of his eyes as well, and instead of distancing himself with the TGGGS free Gs, he'd embrace them. And it's no coincidence that most games that utilized bunny hopping at the time were games like Counter-Strike, Left 4 Dead, Portal, and all the other games made by Valve. And later on picked up in other games like Titanfall and Apex Legends. And of course, you can't mention bunny hopping without also talking about surfing maps in Counter-Strike. Even if you've never played Counter-Strike, there's no chance you haven't seen surfing in the background of a brain rot TikTok video in order to keep us constantly entertained with like visual stimulation. However, instead of surfing the waves of the TISM with the TGGGFs, I actually said it right. I'd be confined to the ground, running around playing Rush B Simulator with the rest of the Russians. The Olympic sport of rocket jumping is a long tried and tested sport, originating not in Quake, but in the age of Doom. Although the rocket jump was about as useful as a hat trying to hide the fact that you were balding in your 20s, it wasn't actually until Quake that it really popped off. These days, the rocket jump Olympic attendees are primarily TGGS, aka speedrunners. Or they're the shrouds and the fakers and the shrouds. I don't actually know professional PPU gamers like at all. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes it'll also be used in the competitive scene of gaming like most other jumps. Now, the problem with rocket jumping Olympics is that you can only really compete once, because next year they'll be forced to compete in the Paralympics instead. There's a ton of different jumps you can talk about. Like up until now, we've only really talked about the origins of the different jumps in like older games, but there's also really iconic jumps in today's games, like the jump from Assassin's Creed or the newer Mario games, or even Mario 64 for that matter. Like, it's still an old game, but I mean, that shit revolutionized jumping and open world gaming as a whole. We also got double jumping in games like Elden Ring with Torrent, where you're double jumping. That shit's fun as hell, man. But honestly, I could talk about jumps in video games forever. I mean, there's so many jumps in so many video games, man. I can't cover them all. So if we were to instead jump to a conclusion or a moral of the story, if you will, I'd say it isn't about the strides and leaps we take in order to complete a game in the fastest time possible, in order to join the TGGGFs, free Gs, or about snorting 8 lines of G Fuel and dragging these nuts on their face after teabagging them and 360 no-scope rocket jump shooting them in Team Fortress 2. But it's the jumps we make with our loved ones and our friends, sitting in the attic playing Dangerous Dave all day long instead. I don't really know. I wanted to make a silly video about jumping in video games, and here we are. But if you did manage to somehow stick around and bear with my yapping for all this time, let me know what you liked about the video or disliked, and yeah, subscribe to my channel. This is really the first time I'm making a video like this at all, so yeah, let me know what you think, man. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Boop.